So I want to talk today about this desire that a lot of us women have, particularly in business, to be perfect, or for something to be perfect before we start, before we send it, before we make any progress on it. And so I want to share with you today 4 tips for what you can do if perfectionism is getting in the way of your progress. And for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Lucille Roach. I am a business startup coach, and I work with new female business owners who are feeling overwhelmed and confused about where to start or what to focus on in their business, create a plan of action that sets them up for success. Now, this came about for 2 reasons. One, because I've just joined Clubhouse and I found myself in this position where I was like, oh, I don't want to go up and speak. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to create my own room, because if I create my own room and then, what if all these things go wrong? And it also happened to the client that I was working with, where she was holding herself back from sending an email to people who had bought from her before because of this fear that she had. And so I want to share with you 4 things that you can do if your fear of being perfect is getting in the way of you making progress. So let's use a tangible example. So let's say one of the things that you're going to do in your business is to record a video and post it on social media. In your quest to be perfect, you re-record the video 20 times, you critique the video, you rip it apart, you find out all these things that are wrong with it, and that's holding you back from being able to publish this video and post it on social media. So if you're in that position, I want you to ask yourself this question: what opportunities will await me if I publish this video? What are the things that I could gain if I publish this video? So it may be that you will be able to gain some new followers, which means that you become more visible. It may be that you sell a product or a service, and if you sell a product or a service, that means that you'll gain money, and by gaining money, it means that you'll be able to do things that you enjoy. You may be able to go on a spa day, you may be able to buy a meal, you may be able to go racing, do whatever it is that you want to do that makes you happy. So ask yourself, what are the things that I could potentially be missing out on if I do not do this? And then the second thing to do is, typically when we are afraid, when we are thinking about being perfect, it's because we're afraid of something. And if you're afraid of something, then the first thing to do is to ask yourself, what is it that you're afraid of? So if it's about posting a video on social media, maybe one of the things you're afraid of is not being able to structure a story. So you don't know how to structure a story in a way that seems compelling to people who are watching it. If that is the case, then you need to do some research. So understand what's involved in creating a story, understand what's involved in creating a video, understand what lighting that you need for a video, understand what equipment that you need to be able to record a video, because knowledge is power, and the more that you know, the more that you can grow. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to test and tweak. Not twerk, tweak, because you will only get better by doing something. So I see a lot of times that in this quest to be perfect, that what a lot of women do is kind of hold themselves back. So they're stopping themselves from making progress out of this quest to be perfect. And the reality is, when you start something new for the very first time, it is not going to be perfect. So you have to get perfect as you progress. So the more that you do something, the better you'll become. When I started my business and I started recording videos on social media, they were crap. They were awful. The lighting was terrible. I didn't have the right equipment. I had no idea what I was talking about. But the more that I did it, the more that I perfected it. So the more that I could look at it and say, okay, the next time I would do this differently. Next time I would hold the camera differently. Next time I'd have a few speaking points so I know what I want to talk about and I know where I want to lead people. So maybe testing and tweaking things is the way for you to go. But the only way that you can test and tweak things is by doing it. You can't why can't I say this word? You can't test and tweak things just in your mind. The only way that you'll know what's working, what isn't working, is by doing it. So test it and then tweak it. And then the 4th tip that I have for you is to learn, because a lot of the times when you do something new, you will learn something, because the whole point of you being in business, the whole point of, I believe, our purpose on this earth is to learn and to grow. And everything that you do in your business is going to help you to learn so you can perfect it and better it the next time. So what I always like to do when I'm trying something new is that I'll make a note of what is it that I can learn. So maybe if I posted a video, or maybe if I go live on social media and I didn't get enough people watching the live version of it, maybe one of the things that I can learn from that is that the next time I'll make an announcement, I'll tell people when it is that I'm going live so that people can kind of prepare in advance. Maybe next time I'll have some kind of a timer that people can save so that they know when that's going to happen so that they can take part. But again, that learning, which is linked to that testing and that tweaking, only comes from you doing it. So I'm just going to recap those 4 tips for you again. Tip number 1 is to ask yourself, what is it that you have to gain? Because by thinking about what it is that you have to gain, you're going to have a really clear purpose behind why it is you should do this thing, why you should put that post out there, why you should send that email, why you should go to that networking event, why you should speak to that person. The second thing is to research, because oftentimes this desire to be perfect becomes as a result of us not really being clear on what it is that we need to do. So do some research to educate yourself and to get some better understanding of what's involved in you recording a video, structuring a video, sending a post, sending a pitch. Tip number 3 is to test and tweak, and I had to say that slowly so I wouldn't mess it up. So test and tweak it. So once you do something, so if you're posting something on social media, because that's the example that we're using, if it didn't go the way that you wanted it to, look at it, tweak it, test it, see what works, see what didn't work. And then the 4th and final thing to sum everything up is to learn from it. Learn from it. What could you do differently? What could you do better? What will you keep the same? So those are the 4 tips to help you if you are struggling with this desire to be perfect in your business, and just a message of reassurance that perfect does not exist, that you will only get better, you'll only see results and see success by continuing to work, by continuing to do the work. And if you really are struggling with understanding how is it that I can get over this fear of perfectionism, because maybe there is a bigger obstacle that's holding you back, then book yourself in for a free consultation. Let's have a chat. I can understand where it is that you are, what's holding you back. I can share with you some things that you can do to help you to move forward and to overcome this obstacle so that you can start to set yourself up for success in your business. Until next time, happy goal getting.